I want to talk to you guys about cash for keys when selling your rental property in Ontario. My name's Daniel Hale. I'm a licensed real estate agent in Ontario, and I help tons and tons and tons of landlords with their investment properties. Now, cash for keys when you're selling your rental property. This is something that I highly recommend landlords do, but just make sure that you do it right. Now, here's the truth. Some people don't want to give their tenants money in exchange for the keys in a vacant property because they're upset at their tenant. You need to throw that out the window and forget about it. Because here's the facts. You're gonna put your property on the market with the tenant in there that's probably upset at you that you are selling the property. They could cause some disturbance during the showings, even though they're not allowed to, but it could be a mess in the home, or maybe people are viewing them and saying, whoa, that tenant's gonna cause some problems. They might not leave. We could have a lot of issues here. Or you're gonna get that investor or somebody that says, hey, I'm gonna offer you $50, $60, $70 plus thousand less than what the home is actually worth. And you put yourself in a very bad situation. So giving your tenant some money to leave, whether that's $5,000 or $10,000, is highly beneficial for you because you're gonna get a vacant property, you're gonna get to stage that property, paint it, clean it up, make it look nice and fresh, and you're gonna be able to sell it at top dollar and avoid all legal issues or anything that could backfire and come at you during the sale of the home with the tenant in it. So what you need to do is you need to negotiate with your tenant and start off the conversation. Preferably have a real estate agent do this, or a paralegal, somebody that has sold tenanted properties before. Now you want to make sure that you explain the tenant's rights to them and that they also know your rights. This sets off a common ground amongst both of you, and it makes you look very professional because the tenant's going to say, wow, they do know what they're talking about when it comes to the landlord and tenant board in Ontario. They're not lying to me, and that tenant's probably gonna go and do their research, and when they see that, they're gonna take you more seriously. Now here's the truth. If a purchaser buys it for their own personal use, that tenant will be served an N12 notice of eviction. They will be given 60 days to move out. They do have a right to a hearing, which can slow things down. But the truth is, at the end of the day, if the property is sold legally to somebody that's gonna be moving in, they will only get 1 month's rent. And when the tenant is aware of that and they know that they're gonna have to move out anyways and only take 1 month's rent, the hearing date could take 5, 6, 7 plus months, depending on the city that you're in. However, they're gonna walk away with 1 month's rent. So basically all they're doing is kicking the ball down the street in order to live there longer. But if you offer them cash for keys, then they're gonna say, okay, wait a second here. 1 month's rent, or I'm gonna make some money and I'm gonna be able to assist myself in my first and last month's rent, and I'm gonna get a new place and I'm gonna move out. Which one would you take? Now understand, this has to be explained to the tenant properly so that they don't get upset at you. If an investor does buy the property, that tenant does have the right to stay. So you need to make sure that you and your real estate agent look at the property and know who the buyer is, so you know how to handle the conversation with the tenant. If the likelihood is that an investor is gonna buy it, you don't need to worry about cash for keys because the buyer is gonna assume that tenant. If you see the property and it's a property for families and you know that's who your ideal buyer is, you know a family is gonna give you top dollar for this home if it's vacant, you need to start negotiating cash for keys. Now here's the way this works. You give the tenant money of the agreement that you guys come up with. They're gonna give you keys in a vacant property. Now, they are going to sign an N11, which is a notice to end the tenancy on a specific date. Both of you are gonna sign this after you come up with the agreement and the amount of the cash for keys. You're also going to have another form, which is called a minutes of settlement. Now, the minutes of settlement is all of the terms and the stipulations that you and the tenant both agreed on that you're both going to sign. Now, here's some things that I put in that minutes of settlement. The tenant allows you to clean up the property so that it shows its best. They allow you to do photography and the media that you need to. You do need consent from your tenant in order to do that, but if they're getting money and you've come to a cash for keys agreement, they will allow you to do these things. That's going to be in the minutes of settlement. There's also going to be things in the minutes of settlement such as they are not to disturb anybody during the sale of the property. Now, you're still going to want to give them 24 hours notice just because it keeps things easy on both parties and the tenant's not getting upset saying that people are just flooding my property and I have no time to prepare for the showings or leave if they don't want to be home for the showing. So all of the terms are going to be in the minutes of settlement that are agreed upon between both yourself and the tenant. Preferably have a paralegal write that up for you just so you know that everything is good. And you also want to have the N11 signed. Once both of these things are signed, you do your photography, you get the house ready for sale, you put it on the market. You know you can confidently now sell that property for top dollar and provide vacant possession. Now make sure you still do have specific clauses and conditions in the agreement of purchase and sale just to protect you so you don't run into any legal issues. Now I have a full team that I provide with the sale of tenanted properties in Ontario. When I sell a property myself, you also get my legal team who helps you. You will give us a call, introduce us to the tenant, we will speak to the tenant, handle all of these terms, make sure you run into no legal issues, make sure you get top dollar, and you walk away with a successful sale.